And now we could see the imminent Sino-American trade war and some conflict between the foreign trades. And we could also witness that without those foreign capitals and the retreating of those foreign capitals, China's economy is indeed sliding in some fields. And in addition, those state-owned enterprises are suffering from some ineffective investment, and under such gloomy circumstances, some private companies finally could still stood out, that is, and delivering some excellent performance. That is the shining point, and if there is no marketized reform, and I believe there is no way to push up the economic development under such circumstances. And before that, if there is no trade conflicts between China and the whole world, okay, the market circumstances was okay and it can be called acceptable or workable. But now we are suffering from the trade conflicts, and we have already seen its deficiency in the whole economic running. And now China is returning to the beginning of the opening up and the reform, and even it only allows you to adopt some state-owned capital to run and to manage some state-owned resources, and it is a return. In China, we call it as the commercial operation under the official supervision, and we could see many examples in many fairs. And it is a kind of financial leverage. It will definitely maximize the capital investment in resources, access, and capital, but all of them are under the official supervision of our government, and it is just another round of introducing the state-owned access to markets again. It is the same routine for the purpose of extending their lives and promoting their manipulations. And okay, we could say it is another time or period to resell the state-owned resources access and readopt the state-owned capital. And if it is so, we could know and recognize that our economic is falling and collapsing. And there is a famous saying after the Cultural Revolution. It says that the national economy is on the verge of break up, and this word is said in some self-examination documents by our government, and then it is released to the public, and it is called on the verge of collapsing. Okay, it means it has already been broken down. So we repeated our history over and over again. Okay, that is the point, and I believe the current movement really makes some sense because there are a number of capitals access kept or remained in private sectors, and they are not willing to make any investment under current situation. And if you are lucky enough, okay, some people really earn the money before, and some fields could also remain attractive to investors, and there are hidden risks. I have to say that, and the hidden risk is the uncertain ownership. In some foreign example, we could say it has already been written in constitutions that the private property is invaluable and secret, and the private property is secured in foreign land. But this is China. That is completely a different story. because the government is accountable for anything that happened in the past, and you will be still prosecuted after many years if you get yourself involved. And our law allows the prosecutors to investigate financial crimes retroactively for up to 20 years, and that is written in laws and regulations. So maybe just 2 decades ago, or 10, or just a decade ago, it funds funds that state-owned asset was sold at a relatively lower price. Okay, they will fund you and persecute you, no matter the economic development or the currency inflation. That it does not matter. Okay, if there is added value, they will fund you. And our legal environment is not that promising compared with some foreign countries. Our government holds such actions because they want to send salaries to their civil servants, to army, to the police. That is the core, because they could make the whole society stable and it will remain their lives. And in China, we could see the collapse of land finance, and if you want to sell land, that is a bankrupted business because the poverty price is so high, no one could afford it any longer. And okay, we have already established some empty buildings or residential buildings for many years. So we could call it to kill the goose that lays the golden eggs. We could say that. And during the transferring it will indeed cause the losses of state access and resources, and those state-owned access will be sold in accordance with some undervalued, underrated prices, and even we could see some black box of operation behind the curtain, and it has already become an open secret. It is, but I have to say that it is still good to distribute those state-owned access to private sectors because someone wants to make money and Chinese people are in pursuit of treasure and money. It is still attractive or eye-catching to some adventurers. And I remember there is another good example in UK or in Germany that some ancient castles were sold at £1 or $1. Okay, if you bought this ancient castle, you have to pay for its maintenance declaration, and you are responsible for its tourism, its opening, and you have to take care about its anti-fire disasters, and you have to make those ancient castles alive. That is a good business in foreign land because your rights and your ownership is certain in law. But in China, if those state-owned access is it's sold at relatively lower or extremely lower prices, okay, and then it will grow bigger and bigger, okay, you are in danger because the government will be accountable for those lower sold access, and that happened in the past, and it will persecute you 2 decades ago. Okay, it will just keep you and feed you. If you grow bigger and fatter, okay, it will kill you. You are just the goose which lays the golden leg, and there is no denying for that case. And it is written in Chinese law that it allows the prosecutors to investigate financial crimes retrospectively for up to 20 years. Okay, it will finally fund you. So it will generate another problem about the debit snowball, and those debit will be better leveraged and it will roll over the debit. Or we can call it borrow the new money to repay the old debits, and that is a vicious circle. And now, in accordance with some local reports, our government's local debits are extremely high. They cannot afford it. They cannot repay it. Plus, some invests, no one could repay it. Even some local civil servants, they received no salaries for several months. And in addition with that, it will continue regardless those debits. They continue some new investment, and those investment will be, or those new money, they will be used to repay the debit, and some will be used to repay the debit, and the other will be used to invest in some new sectors, and it will generate some value-added products or financial products, and it hopes it will cover the original principles, but that is real. It is quite difficult to get that. And in China, we could see those old debit and new debit, if they put together, no one could repay it, no one could afford that. So some local officers found a better way to solve the problem, and the solution is to using the criminal penalties to solve the debit disputes. We have already seen so many news pieces about that, and our debitor, the debtor is our government, and if the government want to repay your money and they could not afford it, okay, they will find a criminal, they will find something wrong in your business and put you under arrest and put you into the prison, okay. That is the solution, and we have already seen many extreme cases that after being discharged or released by the prison, some former businessmen take revenge on the society. They hurt some innocent people. So our society will repay it, and that is the judicial injustice in China, and that is a bad circle in China. We are still running it. There is no change, even it is getting worse. And we have already done so many market distortion and hyping, and we could see some unfairness and short-sighted operation in our market running, and no one could change it. And that is a bad example.